Please join me in welcoming the Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Kara Murtagh.
I'd like to now introduce our Superintendent of Schools, Kara Murtagh.
And to help us do that, the Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Murtagh.
So we would like to invite up our newest Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Kara Murtagh.
Hi, I'm Kara Murtagh, Superintendent of Schools. I was born and raised in Peabody, so I haven't left, and I've been in the school system 21 years, starting as a teacher, vice principal, assistant superintendent, and next year superintendent of schools. I love what I do. I love working with the teachers and especially with all of you. You all can make a difference, and you do each and every day. When I see you here today, I am filled with joy, pride, and love. I believe as you leave here today, you carry with you 4 core beliefs. Help others through community service. Be kind. Be a good human being and make good choices. Each and every one of you have and can make a difference. You have accomplished so much and have such a bright future ahead of you. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you imagine. Dream big. Never give up. Do your best, set a good example, and have a generous heart. Look at our staff who have come here today. They are here for you. They have helped prepare you for what lies ahead. When I spoke to staff in August of last year, I stated that throughout the school year, we would nurture, educate, and love each of our students to help them lead, learn, teach, and continue to thrive. I can proudly say we did just that. Thank you.
Who could not look at that video and feel the power that one individual was able to make on this city and this school system? I'd like to welcome you all this evening. My name is Dave Gravel. I am the president and chairman of the Peabody Ed Foundation, and we are the sponsors of the George Peabody Legacy Award. And I'd like to also welcome virtually, it is odd talking virtually to people, I would like to welcome virtually all of our elected officials, dignitaries, all the people that we heard comments from over the past several weeks, who we sent out special invitations to join us online in this digital environment to help make this event go off this year for somebody so deserving as Kara Murtagh. I will tell you that in our audience here live, we do have our Mayor Ted Betancourt, and Kara's mother, Carol Murtagh, as well as Todd Busey, a good friend of both mine and Kara's, but especially Kara's. So we want to thank you for coming here this evening and for being in this live audience and participating with us and helping us honor a very, very special person, Kara Murtagh. We're going to begin tonight's event with a musical selection, A Better Place. It was by Rachel Platten, and it was arranged by John Simmons. And again, we're doing all of this virtually, so I hope everything comes out great. Thank you.
This song, Better Place by Rachel Platten, carries a sentiment of deep appreciation for the special people in our lives. Kara was a champion for all students and was an enthusiastic supporter for our performing arts program. We dedicate this performance to her memory, as she certainly made our world a better place. Better place since you came along.
I'll tell the world, I'll sing the song. It's a better place since you came along. Since you came along. Your touch is sunlight through the trees. Your kisses are the ocean breeze. Everything's alright when you're with me. And I own my favorite thing. I all the love that you bring. Well, it feels like I've opened my eyes again, and the colors are golden and bright again. There's a song in my heart I better place since you came along. It's a better place since you came along. Ooh, now I'm alright. Now I'm alright. Everything's alright. 'Cause it feels like I've opened my eyes again. And the colors are golden and bright again. There's a song in my heart, I feel like I belong. It's a better place since you came along. It's a better place since you came along.
I hope everybody at home watching, and I know the people here thoroughly enjoyed having music from the Peabody High School chorale group. And, you know, every event that I've attended from my time in public life here in Peabody, as well as every event I've attended as far as the Peabody Ed Foundation, and prior to that, the Peabody Education Council, we always had the folks from the chorale from Peabody High School join us in a celebration of whatever we were doing. And they're an amazing and talented group of students. And John Simmons is an amazing and talented individual for leading those students. You saw we did it all socially responsible. Everybody was outside. They were all wearing masks during this crazy COVID time. But wow, I couldn't have been more pleased. I hadn't seen that, and this is the first time I've seen that, so it was really wonderful to see. The George Peabody Legacy Award started really in 2013 as a thought of the Peabody Education Foundation. The Peabody Education Foundation had its origins 37 years ago in the city of Peabody in a joining together of private and public sectors to help our students in the best ways possible by providing either financial or human resources to individuals in classrooms to help out to improve the quality of what could be offered within our school systems. You know, every city has a budget and there's only so much that they can pay for. But with the extra help of both private citizens and the public sector, we've been able to raise in excess of $1.2 million over these past many years, and we've given every dollar back to the schools. And we give it back in the form of grants to classrooms to provide special unfunded curriculum events, and through that process, we're enhancing the education allowed for every child in the city of Peabody. I think it's safe to say that we've literally affected tens of thousands of students over our course of time. And our goal is to continue to provide that service, whether it be with volunteers who go out and read to our classrooms, or financial grants to our teachers who have these great ideas about how to enhance the day-to-day, or it just be offering a helping hand. One of our signature programs was created in 2013 because we felt as a foundation that there was a general lack of recognition for those people who give so much and ask so little. You know, we had sports halls of fame, and we had all sorts of halls of fame in the city, but we had nothing that would honor the lifetime achievements of educators, people who took care of our most important commodity, our students, our children, our future. So with the help of the Ed Foundation, we created our own award, rightly named after George Peabody, whose legacy was not only philanthropy, but through education, allowing us all to come together and be better as a society. And it's interesting to note that this will be our 7th class of educators. And in a typical class of educators, we normally nominate and select either 5 or 6 educators to become a part of that class. And usually a room like this is filled with people waiting to cheer on the person that has gotten this distinct award. But this year's a little different, we know that. And all of this is being done virtually. But it's a little different for another reason. This year we will not honor 5 or 6 people. We will only honor 1 because of the magnitude of her lifetime achievements, of her dedication to our community, of her dedication to our children. We are only going to honor 1 person. She will be, as I've said before, in a class of her own and honored on that wall forever as a person who gave so much and asked so little. She wanted to help every kid that she encountered. In talking to her mom, Carol, she said, you know, it's interesting, during COVID times, she probably would have tested positive numerous times because Cara could not resist every time she saw you giving you a hug, being with you, and being a part. Her achievements are so significant. We feel duly honored to be able to present this award to her this evening through her mom posthumously. And we'd like to share with you some thoughts and videos that we've pre-recorded from people who not only knew Cara well, but who could speak to all of her achievements. So first up in our video will be a good friend of mine. He's unable to be here in the live audience tonight because of the COVID concerns and, you know, the possibility of transmission. But a great city councilor, a dear friend of Cara, and sharing that with him is Tom Gould and Nat Naga.
Hi, my name is Natalie Mega, and Cara and I both worked on the Peabody Ed Foundation, specifically on the George Peabody Legacy Award event.
Hi, my name is Tom Gould, and I've known Cara through many facets of the Peabody community.
Cara and I both worked on the George Peabody Legacy event, and Tom Gould was our chairperson. So we would do all the detailing work, and Cara was amazing in that. She went right down to the tablecloths, to the flowers, to the napkins. Everything had to be perfect. And it was very special working with her, to watch her, how she just lit up the room when she would be doing all of this. She just loved this event. And I think it was special because of her education background with her dad. Everything just to do with education was very special to Cara.
Cara lit up a room. Cara could captivate you, but also get everything that had to be done. And she was all about the kids and all about, in the Legacy Award in particular, all about qualifications and making sure that we were strictly adhering to the legacy guidelines of who we would choose for an award. You know, not only does she deserve it, but unfortunately she was taken too soon from us. Her father was a recipient, and Cara was all about the kids, which really catapults her right to the top of the list this year. And she was all about the kids. Every student, every day was her motto, and she unfortunately won't be here to receive it, and that is heartbreaking. But she certainly deserves it if there ever was anyone that did.
Just to watch Cara when she talked about her kids, you could see her eyes light up, and you knew that every child that she was in contact with gained something from Cara. She was just a beautiful, beautiful person, and she just expressed that to her kids.
And she was fun. She was fun. She was fun to be with, fun to have as a friend. I gained a special relationship with her through all the Peabody community events, and she was my dear friend, and miss her every single day.
It was an honor and privilege to know Kara and had to have work with her. She was just an amazing young lady. And her smile and her laugh would it was contagious.
And there's so many funny stories.
Oh, there were so many funny stories.
Somebody mentioned the Big Bird story, how she rented a car in Florida, couldn't fit in it. The adjustable seats wouldn't work, and she had to open the sunroof to stick her head into the car. So.
I have a very cute story about Kara, too. We were talking one day, and she was telling me how she was watching her two nephews, and they both played hockey. So she was at their house, and she said, being the good aunt that I am, she put the uniform in the dryer, got it all nice and warm, everything ready. So she got the boy dressed up. And when the grandfather came to get him, he said, this isn't the one that's playing hockey today. It was the other nephew. And we just laughed and laughed and laughed.
Oh, yeah, she was great.
She was amazing.
She was great.
And her spike shoes, oh my goodness, walking up the stairs, back of her, I'd say, Kara, how can you do this every day?
Oh, she did too.
With her spike shoes. She was dressed to the nines.
She made sure that every student, again, to drive home that point, every student every day, she made sure that every kid along the way, from kindergarten right through the high school, was taken care of as best as she could. She always would drop something that was less important if a student needed help. And she was accessible nonstop. You could call her at 11 o'clock at night if you had a problem, and she'd answer her phone. I think she's motivated people to, in honor of Kara, motivated people to carry her theme and go forward with it.
I think just her presence in the school department with all of her colleagues has been such a long-lasting impression on them that I think that they want to carry on Kara's, way she wanted to see the school system go, the school district continue.
Kara's legacy, which is a great one, will be preserved forever because of the systems that she set in place and the personal touch that she had with all of her students and her educators, her peers. She definitely has set the groundwork for years to come.
The impression that she left with all of her colleagues, I know they're going to want to continue with that legacy.
The Mertag family, as I said earlier, Jack, received an award, and to have his daughter receive one is so touching for the Mertag family. Every day it's hard for them, but this is another reason that they go forward and support Kara for the Legacy Award. I know I saved a voicemail from her because I want to hear her voice. And
I can hear her laugh all the time.
So we're both very proud that we were asked to speak in support of Kara receiving the Legacy Award. Very deserving.
Yes. She was a beautiful friend, and we do miss her.
Yeah, we miss her.
Tom and Nat, what a beautiful tribute that was. Thank you so much for those kind words and for that beautiful way that you described what Kara's Legacy Award is all about. Every student, every day. You talked a little bit about the idea that Kara was always accessible. Let me tell you one quick Kara story. Kara was never afraid to ask when it came time to step up for a student, or students, never afraid to ask. I was in my office one night, it was around 7:30, 8 o'clock. Who calls me on my cell phone but Kara? And she says, I've been thinking. I knew that line was what was coming next. And she said, wouldn't it be great if we could fund a makers program to have our students work with our staff and provide additional resource to our staff in printing and sign design and all. She says, we only have one problem. She says, we don't have any money. And that was when I got, and she started right in. Before the end of the call, I said, whatever it takes, Kara, whatever it costs, just do it. And we'll figure out a way to pay for it. And that was Kara. So a great tribute, Tom and Nat. Thank you very much for that tribute. Next, we have a video from Cassidy Butt. For those of you who don't know Cassidy, Cassidy was the first recipient of the Kara Murtagh Scholarship, which is being funded by the Peabody Ed Foundation through donations. And Cassidy has a lot to say because she also knew Kara very well, as Kara was her mentor in what she has chosen for her future career. So without further ado.
Hi, my name is Cassidy Butt, and I'm a student at Endicott College hoping to be an elementary school teacher. Miss Murtagh was my former principal at the Carroll School, and she was my assistant superintendent and my superintendent in Peabody, where I went to school. And we grew a very close bond over the years, and she was my mentor in school and in life. The bond I had with her was a bond that I didn't really have with any other teachers. She knew everything about me, and she wanted what was best for me. So being the first person to get her scholarship, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just an honor, and it's something that I will cherish for the rest of my life, and also when I'm a teacher. A funny memory I have is when we were spreading the mulch at the South School in preparation for Ella O'Donnell's Playground's grand opening. She came to spread the mulch in her big black high heels, and I couldn't help but laugh at her, the fact that she still wore her 3-inch black high heels to spread mulch at a playground. So whenever I see somebody in high heels, especially black ones, I always think of her. So I work at Treadwell's Ice Cream, and she would always come in, and 2 days before she passed away, she would always say to me, every time she saw me, do you know what grade you want to teach? Do you know what grade you want to teach? Because I never knew, and she wanted me to know what grade I wanted to teach. And I would always say no, I don't know yet, I'm gonna wait till my internships. And she was like, no, I forgot to tell you. She's like, I talked to the teachers at the Carroll School, where I went to school, and I was like, you didn't have to do that. And she was like, no, I want to. She was like, I want you to experience all the different grades and all the different kids. So when I think of her, that right there is the type of person she was. I never asked her oh, can you talk to them? She kind of just did it, and then was so excited to tell me. So when I think of a special memory, that's the first thing that comes to my head, because that just shows right there is the exact, that's who she was. She always just wanted the best for you. So Peabody is a really big school system. Peabody consists of roughly 6,000 kids and about 450 teachers, and she knew everyone's name. So I was very amazed at the fact that she knew every person's name, and I remember saying to her, I would always say to her, I was how we'd be somewhere, she'd be oh my God, hi, and know their parents, know their siblings, and I would always say to her, how on earth do you remember all these kids' names? When I'm a teacher, I don't think I'm gonna be able to memorize the kids in my classroom. And I remember she responded, she goes, because they are my kids. She's like, do you ever think a mom just forgets their kids' names? And I was like, no. And she goes, exactly, I don't forget my kids' names. So this showed how passionate she was about what she did, and she made sure not to just know everyone's name, but she knew you on a personal level. She knew about your mom, she knew about your dad, she knew about your siblings, what sports you played, about your game. She didn't just know your name, she knew she knew you. I know that when I'm a teacher, I'm going to incorporate all of her ways in my classroom, and I'm going to make sure I have her motto when I'm a teacher right up in front of my whiteboard, every student, every day, so that my kids can say, oh, miss, whatever, what does that mean? And I can make sure to tell them what it means. And I think that all the teachers will keep her motto of every student every day in mind, and that will have an impact on everything they do. Because her impression, everything she did was always for the kids. Everything she did, nothing was for her. She always would be at her office late. I remember driving by and I'd see her light on in her office downtown, and I'd be to my mom, how is she still working? So the impact, the dedication she had is something that I'll always remember for her impact on education, the work ethic she had. At her young age of 44, she accomplished a lot, and between being a teacher, an assistant superintendent, a superintendent, a principal, everything she did, I'm still amazed at such a young age of how she accomplished that, and I hope to follow in her footsteps. She loved her family a lot, and every time she would see me, she would always say to me oh my gosh, you remind me of my niece so much. And so I always would say to her I want to meet your niece, but she was from New York and she was far away. And at the funeral, when I was in the line, I pulled her aside, her niece aside, and I said to her about how I always wanted to meet her, and how Miss Murtagh said we were so alike. And her niece was oh my gosh, she would tell me the same thing about how I was one of her students named Cassidy. So I don't know, I just feel The bond that we had was just like not with any other teacher that I had before.
Thank you, Cassidy. Thank you so much for all those kind words. And, you know, you really bring home the idea of every student every day. They sound like words until you listen to people talk about what they meant to Kara, and in particular to a student who just saw Kara as, this is who I want to be. This is my guiding light in terms of where I want to go with my career in education. And she did comment on the idea that Kara knew. I mean, there was no name she didn't know. Of course, she inherited that from her dad, because Jack would do the same thing. If you ever visited Jack when he was at the Kiley School, and you walked down the hall with him, it was like walking down the hall with somebody that had a full roster, but he had none in his hand. It was all up here. And he would say, "Hey, Johnny, how you doing? How's your dad?" Blah, blah, blah. And he just knew everybody. So a great quality that she inherited, she obviously saw the value of. Everybody deserves the respect of being known, and she gave that respect. So now that we've heard from Nat and Tom and Cassidy, we wanted to hear from Dr. Herb Levine, who Kara had the ability to serve with when Dr. Levine was the superintendent of school, or the interim superintendent of school, and Kara worked under Dr. Levine as an assistant superintendent.
My name's Herb Levine, and I was the superintendent of schools, and Kara was my deputy superintendent, and we worked together for 4 years. Her motto was words, but she carried that out in practice every day. Kara believed that our job was to do the best that we could for kids every day, to make their lives better, to enrich their lives. It didn't matter who they were or where they came from or what part of the city. Kara was dedicated to making certain that every kid was serviced, and serviced well, by the Peabody Public Schools. But I saw that in her the 1 year that we worked together when she was a principal. And she was a principal of the largest and most challenging school in the city, the Carroll. In the year that I saw her as a principal, Kara was so dedicated to that group of kids, and everything was about the kids. Regardless of what it was that we were talking about in meetings, Kara always asked, is this going to be good and right for kids? And she just lived that motto. So I wasn't surprised at all that she adopted that motto when she became superintendent, because that's who Kara was. Kara cared about kids first. Everybody else was important but secondary to making certain that kids were taken care of. Goodness, you couldn't go anywhere without Kara being there. Kara wasn't just involved by being present. She was always doing something. The backpack project that Jared Hockman helped to start, Kara was very involved in that project, filling backpacks and making sure that kids had what they needed to go home for the weekend so that they wouldn't be hungry. She was at community events, she was at sporting events, centered around kids mostly. But maybe the thing that rings most true about Kara as a human being was her involvement in the Best Buddies program. She got so close to those kids and was so close to that program, it really defined her in many ways. Kara was just the type of person that wanted to be everywhere to make sure that kids knew, especially kids, and the community knew that she cared about what was going on even outside of the schools. Well, you make a lasting impact on education by making a lasting impact on kids. And I think for generations, families who have children that had any contact with Kara will tell you that their lives improved because Kara was in it. From tragedies to some of the best things that happened to us in the school system, Kara was involved every step of the way. She was involved in making sure that kids and parents and the community as a whole was just made a better place for them by Kara's involvement. She'll be remembered by many, many people for a long, long time. There were other things that she did quietly that people wouldn't know about except people like me. She led curriculum redefinition, which is very hard work. It's slow. It drags. You're driving and leading and cajoling many people to try to get everybody to work together for a common cause. And she did that so well. You know, there are many different ways that Kara's impact will be felt for a long, long time. And the work that she did academically will impact kids that haven't even been born yet. Think about that. But the kids that are with us and had any interaction with Kara, their lives are better because of it. People who have known her, who have worked with her, who have watched her extend a helping hand to so many people. Folks don't forget that. You know, those are the kinds of things that are appreciated. They're quiet. You know, sometimes her work was in the shadows. For example, I could tell you a story about a child who Kara, because of a tragedy that happened in that child's life, funded her college education. She never told me who, but I know it's true. And those are the kinds of things that Kara did to help people get through really rough times. If you talk to Sydney O'Donnell, Kara was a rock for Sydney through Sydney's difficult days when she lost her sister. If you talk to colleagues, people who worked with her as principals, and then when she became superintendent, they were her colleagues in a different way. They will tell you what kind of an impact she had on them. So I think that when you put it all together, there's no way that Kara will be forgotten. Her legacy will be remembered through the people that she impacted and the people that she worked with and the people that she helped over such a long period of time while she was involved as an educator in the city of Peabody. She enriched the community by enriching the lives of kids. Her impact will last and reverberate for many, many years because of the work that she did and the way that she treated people. People like Kara are the heart and soul of communities and the heart and soul of the school system. Without them, our lives just aren't as good.
Again, we want to thank Herb Levine for sharing those memories with us in terms of working with and for and around Kara. I mean, it gives us all a perspective of how much she was involved. And I'm sure for many of us, it's all the things we didn't know. We knew how many things she did, but think of all the things that a person like that has contributed to our community that we didn't even know about until people share those stories. So again, thank you, Dr. Levine, for sharing those memories. And next we're going to hear from Dr. Christopher Lord, who Kara had the honor of serving with. He was assistant superintendent as well as he was appointed as the principal of the high school for a period of time, and I think he still is interim principal. Not sure, but clearly had a close working relationship with Kara.
My name's Chris Lord. My relation to Kara is that I was the assistant superintendent with her for a year, and then she had me become the high school principal and the assistant superintendent at the same time during my second year with her. So I would say I'm a professional underling to her. My happiest memories are just listening to her and her mother talk on the phone while we were sitting in the office we were often here late into the evenings and just talking about schooling, and her mother would call and you would see, I want to talk to her now, and Kara would put the phone down and then she'd call back again. This time would be a text, and her mother would say, pick up the effing phone. And they did have this conversation, the two of them. I love those stories. There must have been a half a dozen times where, Ma, what do you want? And they just have these delightful conversations. And okay, Mom, I love you too. Bye-bye. Those are my fondest memories of her. She's a kids first educator at all times. Every student, every day was her motto, and I think that's why I connected with her. I think her ability to capture those small words and impart them to the community in ways that were important to the places that she was at the time was her gift. I mean, I think she put kids first all the time, and she made other people around her feel that. know that and live it too. So I think that's why it meant so much to her. It's one of those simple statements that you see every once in a while in life that just, it hits everybody, you know, like one nation under God, that kind of thing. Everybody knows that. Or she was everywhere, often at the same time. I mean, I would go to football games with her, and then she'd run over to see the mayor, and then she'd come to central office, and then we'd go to a school, and she was everywhere. Mostly the ones that were led by kids, you know, chorus concerts that John Simmons put on, the play, the talent show at the high school, events at the Higgins. We went to all of the graduation ceremonies together. I mean, she would do an awful lot for kids just by being present. I'll give you an example. We'd go to a football game, and she'd grab the pom-poms from the cheerleaders, and she would like get everybody fired up in the stands. She had a pretty extraordinary vision for our city. One of the first things she and I started working on was getting teams of community members together to establish a district improvement plan. That improvement plan got pretty far through it, and then Dr. Kerbel and the team continued her work after she passed, and the school committee approved that in June. It's a great vision for education in Peabody for the next 3 years and beyond. Simple, easy for people to understand. Josh Vidala came in and captured the whole thing in his message of hope, high expectations, optimism, personalized learning, and equity and access for kids. So he did a nice job of making our vision real. And if you can have another leader come in and see some previous work done by a previous leader, I think that is a great way to illustrate that vision. I think her impact on education here is going to be seen through that plan. All of the schools are writing their school improvement plans to that district plan. Those are going to be presented to the school committee, 5 of them next Tuesday, and another 5 the next Tuesday after that. All of the teachers are writing their SMART goals for their own evaluations based on that plan. So there's a real alignment right from that vision that she established right down to individual teachers' classrooms and the goals that they're setting. I think that's a pretty strong illustration of how the vision will be carried on for many years. Well, from what I've learned about George Peabody, she would be admired by George Peabody himself. So that's why I think she deserves this legacy award. I think she carries on his vision of what he wanted for this city. I miss her. I mean, I'm working with wonderful people here. Central office is great fun, but she had a presence. We have this little shrine of Kara in the main office with her picture and the schools and some of the things that she did, and the every student every day statement. You know, these Peabody Strong buttons near her, Peabody Tanner masks. So, and I don't know if you're spiritual people, but the middle school put together a one of those things you can put on a glass window, made out of plastic, and they kind of stick to the glass. Anyway, there's one right on the stairs as you come up here at central office, and there's a big piece of glass on the front door. When the sun hits it just right, the shadow that gets imprinted on the wall is, you know, Kara Murtagh, superintendent of schools, with the symbol, the infinity symbol that she liked. It's really a cool thing to walk up the stairs and see it in the morning on a sunny day. They can come by central office and check it out anytime on a Sunday morning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lord, for sharing that and for, again, bringing another whole picture for us about Kara's legacy and what she brought to the Peabody public school system. You know, companies out there spend thousands of dollars to develop a mission statement that sticks. And it's rare that you would find people, even within a small company, remembering that mission statement. Every student, every day. It sticks, and it works, and it captured, you know, the vision that Kara had for this school system. And while there are musical prodigies and mathematical prodigies, I would go so far as to say we were fortunate to have an educational prodigy in our midst. And it only lasted for 44 years of time, but wow, we are fortunate. Our last video presentation is from somebody who knew Kara very well, who serves as the chairman of the school committee, but also as the mayor of our city, and has the opportunity to see an individual in their work environment at sometimes some of the most difficult times. Having served on a school committee, I can attest to that. It's not an easy job. But Kara stood the job with grace and was able to really put her thumbprint on this school system for a long time. So Mayor Betancourt.
I'm Mayor Ted Betancourt. Kara was our superintendent. We worked very closely together. Prior to that, Kara and I were close friends all of our lives. I've known her for many years growing up in the city of Peabody. A wonderful family, and I was very proud to have her as my friend. Kara was just an amazing personality, so upbeat, so positive, so excited about the job, and she always made me feel good about what we were doing in the city of Peabody. Even during our tough days, when we had difficult decisions to make, we would always try to find the best way to go about it. And she just had such positive energy and really enjoyed working with her. We spoke every day. One call I remember that really stands out to me, and this was when she had been first named superintendent. It was her first major snowstorm. And those are difficult moments, trying to figure out the best way to do things and whether we have school, whether we don't, what type of precautions we need to make. It was an overnight storm, which are always difficult. And I got a call at 3:30 a.m. and it certainly woke me up. And right away, you're worried about what type of call you're getting at that time. And it was Kara. And we started talking about the day and what we were going to do for school. And I could kind of hear background noise like she was outside. So I said, Kara, what are you doing? She's like, oh, well, I'm in my pajamas and in my boots and I'm driving around to all the schools and just checking the roads and checking the building. And I just started laughing because that was Kara. That was what she was all about. She cared so deeply for the students and the teachers and wanted to make sure everything was okay. And I could just picture her driving around in her boots and pajamas, checking out the schools. And she just cared so deeply for her students. I really felt that she believed everybody was her family. And she acted like that every day. We would go to different schools together to check in on buildings and check in with people. And she would talk to the students, talk to the teachers, very engaging, and made everybody feel important. And I really believe every student every day, and that's what she really preached that and lived it. It wasn't just words for her. She really lived that, and it was an important part of her life. Kara was just a fixture at everything in our community. Her and her family, really. They're such a close, wonderful family. They were a part of every concert, every activity, every fundraiser. Kara and her mom and her sister, they were there and being a part of the community and trying to make our city better and celebrating what is wonderful about our community. And she was a part of that, and she would be the first one out there picking up trash off the street during our cleanup days, and she would be there at the concerts cheering on our students. She was just a fixture at everything in our community, and always, again, just brought positivity and an upbeat personality and excitement. That was what her life was about. It was advocating for her students, advocating for our community, families. That's what she went to work every day, focusing on what was best for the students. City Hall was right across the street from her office, and she would be in there early in the morning, late at night, and that's what she was doing every day. She developed a vision for the graduate, she called it, and it was really ways to have a well-rounded student that is ready for the next phase of their life, whether it be college, whether it be the workforce, whether it be military. Kara was trying to find a way to help make each student's dreams a reality. Kara's left a deep impact on the city of Peabody, not just the educational system, but as a city as a whole. Again, her upbeat personality and her love for the community and love for her students always shone through and brightly lit up wherever she was. She's made an impact on me, on all of our community leaders, on our teachers, the administrators, and on our students and families. She was just a beloved member of our community who gave so much of herself every day. You could see that. It wasn't fake, it was very real, and it meant so much to so many people. And we are in the process now, a number of people, teachers and community leaders are working on a memorial garden that we're going to be putting at Brooksby Farm. And it's really going to be dedicated to her and some other people that meant so much to our community. But it's really been brought to life because of Kara and her impact on the community and wanting to honor that. Her impact will be felt for generations to come as to what she meant and what she did for our students in our city. this was an outstanding choice, and I commend the Peabody Education Foundation for this choice. Kara really epitomizes what it means to be a teacher and a school leader. She started her career as an educator and worked her way up into administration, and it was always with the idea of what can I do to help? How can I make our students' lives better and help? And every day she went to school that way. Every day she went into work that way. And I just think she left her mark in so many ways and was really somebody who defines what Peabody education is all about and defines what it means to try to help our students. And a wonderful person who left a tremendous legacy. And I think this award really captures what her spirit was and what her energy was and what she meant to our community. And I'm so glad to be a part of this.
Thank you very much, Mayor. That was, again, another beautiful tribute to Kara, and it's always great to hear how people are in their work environment and you know, the relationship that you had. There's probably no closer relationship in a city government than a mayor and a superintendent, because so much is tied to education in a city budget, and to have a good working relationship between the two is more than you can ask. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. So, great job. Well, we've come to the point in the ceremony where it's time for us to present the award, the George Peabody Legacy Award. We will be presenting it to Carol, but I would invite the mayor, Todd Busey, and Nat to come up and join me as we present this award to Carol on behalf of Kara, because I think it'd be special. So if you could, wear your mask. So as they're coming up, let me describe the awards that'll be given. All of our George Peabody Legacy recipients receive a medal, which basically is kind of mimicking after the George Peabody Medal. And the idea is that it's a reminder of the great achievements of the individual. They also receive a certificate. The certificate is from the Peabody Foundation, and it's signed by the executive director of the Peabody Foundation in London, so that their name is recorded in the trust in London. And this year in particular, we have a special award just for Kara. So I'm going to have to don my mask here. Welcome to 2020. And Carol, on behalf of the Peabody Education Foundation, it gives me a great amount of pleasure to be able to provide you with this award on behalf of Kara for her lifetime of achievement and the legacies that she left on behalf of the Peabody Public Schools and the Peabody Education Foundation.
Thank you.
And I think, as the mom of such a wonderful individual, that you should wear the medal that your daughter earned, because she was a wonderful individual. And please accept this certificate on behalf of the Peabody Trust in London. Would you like to say something? Carol is like Kara. You know, you get a politician up here, there's no microphone they don't like, but
Thank you.
but you get somebody who's up here for the real purpose. And
Thank you.
She says thank you, and she's honored. And we really appreciate having you here, Carol. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, can we get a socially distanced picture? I'm going to take it out so people can see it. Everything's sliding here, Mary. Okay. So with that kind of concludes our ceremony. And for those who, unfortunately, we'll only be able to show you via video, Kara's name is already up on the wall with the rest of the legacy recipients. She stands alone in the class of 2020, but she stands knowing that, or we know that she's with a group of really great people. And not only did her dad, Jack, receive the award in 2013 as one of our first-year recipients, but her uncle, John, who was also a principal of the Higgins Middle School, received the award that year as well. And so now we have 3 Murtags on our own special legacy wall, which is our Hall of Fame. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that's an amazing accomplishment for an amazing family who didn't take the job because it was a job. They took the job because they loved what they did. They took the job because they believed that they were shaping the youth. So they may have been called principals and superintendents and assistant superintendents and assistant principals. They had titles, yes. But their real job was the shaper of human beings, the people who really made a difference and will make a difference for many generations going forward. I think Dr. Levine captured that greatly. Forget about what we've lost, but think about all of the impact that they've made to the future with all of the people that they touched. I'd be remiss if tonight I didn't say a few thank yous to some folks who are here who made this production go off. It's, you know, doing a virtual event is not the easiest thing in the world. Certainly speaking at an, being the MC of a virtual event, it's kind of different, where you're not able to see people's faces, except a few in the back. But none of this would have been possible without the help of Christine Bruno, who is back there. Christine, could you just stand up so people can see who you are? Christine is a board member of the Peabody Ed Foundation. She's also an employee, the marketing manager at Greyvock. And she put together that beautiful piece that you saw in the beginning by cutting and splicing all segments that she could find with Kara speaking. And the interesting thing is, the theme was always the same, so she was able to make it look like a continuous speech. But that was all cut together and made to perform the way it did. Also in the audience, and I'd like to have her stand, is my good friend and also a board member, Mary Bellavance. Anybody that knows Mary knows that she works tirelessly on any task. She is now an executive assistant at Greyvock, and she's also on the board of the Peabody Ed Foundation. And, her talents are wonderful when it comes to supporting us in every single day, every single way. So thank you, Mary, for bringing all of us together and bringing all of this together with an idea that we could do this. This can be a virtual event. We can do this. And I think you've done a remarkable job. I'd also like to thank our friends at PAT. They stepped right up when we asked and didn't even blink an eye, basically said, whatever we can do, we will do. There was a team at Greyvok as well that helped with the video. And I want to point out one guy who gets no recognition at any event, but his lighting makes every event a more perfect event. Look around this theater and you will see pink lights. Everybody knows that pink was Kara's favorite color, and high heels were her favorite shoe. Joey Nicotera has volunteered and put in all of this lighting for us today, as well as the lighting that will be at the Legacy Board. And he's done this for countless events, but again, all you have to do with a guy like Joey is say, could you? And he's on it. You don't even have to say anything else. So all of those folks helped make this a reality. We hope you enjoyed this presentation. We hope that you take heart that, while we have lost someone, we gained so much from knowing someone and from being with someone as wonderful as Kara. I will tell people that, yes, I knew Kara and I knew her well, but I'm most proud that I was able to be a friend of Kara, and that I followed her career all the way through back in the days when I was touting around the schools with Jack and John. So a wonderful person and a very deserving person for this award. So with that, I want to say again, thank you. Remember our URL, peabodyedfoundation.org. We raise money to support your students, our school system. We could use your help, particularly in years like this. So please, do not be bashful. Go online, make a contribution, and do whatever you can to help us continue our mission forward. We've started our virtual guest reader program, which is going along marvelously. We have a virtual guest reader library, which people can go to. So if your kids are bored one day and need somebody to read them a story, go to our library. You can get to it through our website. We're also doing a digital grant program this year, and we're looking to target our grants to help students during this particularly difficult time, where some may not have the resources to be able to participate fully in the day-to-day activities, and so we're going to be able to provide those resources in terms of paper, pencils, help me bags, whatever we're doing, we will do it. And hopefully soon we'll continue on with our program the way it was. But for now, we're still here. Thank you and good night.